Good evening, visitors. Welcome to the Australian War Memorial's Last Post ceremony. My name is Robert Adams, and joining us today from the Royal Australian Air Force is Aircraftman Thomas Kilmurray. This evening, we are honoured to acknowledge Commandant of the Republic of Korea Marine Corps, Lieutenant General Ju Il-suk, accompanied by Commandant Land Command College, Australian Army, Brigadier Andrew Moss. We're also honoured to acknowledge Member of the Council of the Australian War Memorial, Mrs. Sharon Bowen. We also warmly welcome Group Captain Retired Matt Cottrell, representing the Air Force Association. As always, we welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that love and support them. The live stream of this ceremony is made possible by the Returned and Services League of Australia and the RSL and Services Clubs Association. We welcome members who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection by visitors to the memorial and students on behalf of Gurgare, Lancaster, Merrigum and Stanhope primary schools, all visiting from the Goulburn Valley in Victoria. If you're able, I now invite you to please stand and join in singing the national anthem. Students and visitors who are able to do so, please be seated. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight we'll read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 103,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and on operations over more than a century. But first, we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths or floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection.
Today, we remember and pay tribute to Flight Sergeant Sidney Arthur Brown, who was killed during the Second World War. Sidney Brown was born on the 22nd of December 1924 in the Adelaide suburb of Torrensville, the son of Arthur and Ellen Brown. Growing up, he had a younger sister, Valmay. In 1934, when Sidney was almost 10 years old, his mother died. Brown was educated at Theberton Primary School, Adelaide High School, and Merredin College. He was fond of tennis and cricket. After leaving school, he continued to study part-time with the Insurance Institute of South Australia while working as an insurance clerk with Western Assurance Company. Having served for 9 months as a cadet with the Air Training Corps, Brown enlisted in the Royal Australian Air Force on the 30th of January 1943, aged 18. He trained as a navigator and received his badge that December. Early the next month, he was made sergeant. Brown embarked for overseas service from Melbourne on the 29th of January 1944, arriving in the UK in March. As part of the Empire Air Training Scheme, he was one of almost 27,500 RAF pilots, navigators, bomb aimers, wireless operators, air gunners, and flight engineers who, throughout the course of the war, joined British and Commonwealth squadrons based in Britain. Further specialist training followed in England, and in July, Brown was promoted to Flight Sergeant. On the 1st of December 1944, he was posted to 463 Squadron RAF. As part of Bomber Command, the squadron flew the 4-engined Avro Lancaster heavy bomber. Just after midnight, on the 5th of January 1944, Bomber Command launched a raid to destroy a well-entrenched German garrison at Royan in France. There were fears that this seaside fortress could operate U-boats, and it was proving difficult to overcome. Flight Sergeant Brown was the navigator on board Lancaster JOR, which took off from the Royal Air Force Base at Waddington some 20 minutes before 1 a.m. Of the 16 aircraft committed to the mission by 463 Squadron, Brown's Lancaster was the only one that failed to return. It was later determined that Lancaster JOR had collided with another from 106 Squadron RAF, breaking into and crashing within the target area. There were no survivors. Those killed, along with Flight Sergeant Sidney Brown, were fellow Australians, Flying Officer Jack Milne, Warrant Officer William Simpson, and Flight Sergeants Charles Fincham, John Prince, and Charles Walters, along with British Sergeant Ernest Freeman. After the war, the remains of Commonwealth servicemen buried in Europe were examined and identified where possible. However, the aircraft's wreckage had been partially destroyed in the bombing, and only the bodies of Prince, Milne, Fincham, and Freeman could be identified. Flight Sergeant Brown has no known grave and is commemorated on the memorial to the missing in Runnymede, Surrey. He was 20 years old. Sidney Brown was dearly missed by his family back home, and his sister and aunt placed the memoriam notices in the newspaper after his death. Flight Sergeant Sidney Brown's name is listed on the Roll of Honour on my left, among almost 40,000 others who died while serving in the Second World War. His photograph is displayed today beside the Pool of Reflection. This is but one of many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Flight Sergeant Sidney Arthur Brown, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world.
If you are able, please stand for the reading of the Ode and the sounding of the last post.
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them.
We will remember them.
Lest we forget.
Lest we forget. We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Pozières or in the low scrub at Gallipoli, with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, that concludes the last post ceremony. On behalf of our director, staff and volunteers, thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial today. We wish you all a very pleasant evening.